Hi everybody, welcome to the Refined Peasants podcast. Today we're going to talk about the Pact Act, which passed. Hallelujah.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. Finally did.
Did they remove the thing that was holding Republicans up for it?
They didn't change the sentence.
They didn't change anything?
No.
Yeah.
So, yes, veterans, you're going to get health care. Nice.
I don't know what all is in the bill. I know what was holding Republicans up, but I don't know what was all in the bill besides. I know it's supposed to be just veteran health care spending.
Yeah, that's all it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so this is... So, a little bit of this is going to be about the Pact Act. The other problem is going to be, like, my problem with the response to it and why I hate politics. Because, like, there was nothing in the Pact Act that when you talk to normal people, they're like, yeah, that sounds good, we should do that. But whenever you talk to politicians, they're like, I don't know about that. So, we'll go over that. For one, I guess let's start with what the Pact Act was. I didn't know this. They've been fighting for this for like 15 years.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so since before Obama was president. That's how... That seems like forever ago.
Yeah.
Like I was a child.
It's a lifetime ago.
You know? So, only if you go to school in America.
Yeah, okay.
Jesus, that was dark. But...
I don't know. I graduated in 2011, so I may not have. 15... Could have been 2010.
Yeah.
No.
So, basically what it was is these, they had, so whenever we were in the Middle East doing our thing, whatever you think about that, whatever, we decided that we were going to have to burn all of our excess stuff. A lot of that was metal, batteries.
Rubber.
Yeah. Just literally
waste.
Literally
Human
like...
waste.
Yeah, I was just going to say literally like shit.
Well,
Like,
it wasn't all
burn.
us either, but it was started by the U.S. military, these burn pits.
Yeah, so we, the only way you could get it that hot a lot of the times was you'd have to use jet fuel. Which...
But jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
It sure can. It sure can. And,
doesn't have to bend it.
Oh, he doesn't.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
But, basically, they were burning all this stuff. And what we found out from 9/11 from the firefighters, from that jet fuel experiment, is that whenever you light jet fuel on fire, it causes cancer.
I want to say it's carcinogens.
Yeah.
But...
It's a carcinogen. And, so basically, the...
we were exposing U.S. military members to cancer-causing
that were maybe
vapors.
100 yards away from base camps.
Well, some of these, because we didn't know it was deadly at all, so we would line them up sometimes in the middle of camp, sometimes they'd be on the outside of a fence. It just kind of depended on...
Have you ever watched the movie Jarhead, Garrett?
No.
So as punishment, one of the guys' job is to burn the shitters, and he takes jet fuel, pours it in there, lights, and you got to sit there and mix it with a stick. So you're standing over the fumes.
That sounds fucking terrible. Like, just, you take an Afghani summer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be a punishment for people. Because they have to be done. You have to burn them.
Yeah, and it's if y'all want to take a guess how many vets were exposed to this?
I have no idea.
Thousands, I would assume?
No, it's much more. It's 3.5 million vets were exposed to these burn pits. Not 3.5 million vets were in the line of duty. Not 3.5 million were overseas. 3.5 million or 3.5 million were exposed directly to burn pits.
Well, that makes sense. So if you have a burn pit in every camp, then you have your first wave, and they start the burn pits, and then every wave after just keeps going.
Yeah, and the United States government decided, and it's not just, like you said, it's not just the military, like private contractors would do it too. Pretty much anyone that needed shit burnt would throw it in there, which is bad because the fuel, like it causes cancer. And, we made the decision not to give them health care for that. So, yeah.
I don't know, because veterans could still get health care for cancer. Like, so if they develop cancer, they can still get treatment through the VA.
Right.
Now, we can honestly, we can do a whole podcast on why the VA is shit and why it needs an upgrade. So our grandfather passed away because he was in VA care.
Right.
My father-in-law is, 40 years retired Army, and he's like, the VA sucks.
Yeah,
because they don't let you go anywhere else.
Well, it's been like
that. No,
that
he can go to somebody else. They just don't pay.
Really, it's been like that since Vietnam, really. That's whenever you start really seeing the big complaints because the size of the military just exploded.
Well, and it's not just that, but there was also exposure to a lot of cancer-causing chemicals in Vietnam.
Orange,
Agent Orange, napalm.
Phosphorus, everything that's cancer.
And this is kind of a similar thing to Agent Orange and stuff, is that, like, we didn't realize... We caught this sooner, but they didn't get, like, treatment for Agent Orange until, like, the 80s.
Which would have been, what, 20 years?
Yeah, or 2 later, depending on when they served. So, yeah. So then, the only reason this got any national attention is because Jon Stewart, who's a comedian, to be honest, but now he's retired and just kind of dicking off. And he did the firefighters. Like, so the firefighters for 9/11 didn't get the health care at first. And then Jon Stewart came in, bitched to Congress, and then finally, after like 8 years, this is whenever he was still on TV too, finally got them health care. At that point, it was 8 years later, a bunch of people had already died. And that's kind of what we saw with this, is that like thousands of people...
Yeah, I seem to remember somebody on this...
already died.
I think Biden had someone at the State of the Union whose husband had died from...
Well, it may have been what killed Hunter. Not Hunter.
No, that's going to be an overdose.
Yeah. What's the name of the other son? Bo. Yeah.
I thought he died in a car wreck.
Oh, I thought he died of cancer. Nick, fact check us.
Did he? It might be cancer. Don't get me lying to you.
I don't know why.
I thought it was a car accident.
Anyway.
Not that it's entirely relevant. I'm just recalling, like, Biden did mention this at the beginning of the State of the Union.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So. What's the deal? Look up cause of death.
Well, I'm trying to find Beau Biden. Is it Robert Biden? Is that his like full
Yeah,
name?
I would imagine. Well, Joseph Biden. So Robert Biden, maybe.
Why didn't you just look up what killed Beau Biden?
Or how did Beau Biden
seriously,
die?
What did you Google that brought you this?
Who the fuck is Beau Biden?
Move on.
We're moving on. Well, he's too stupid to operate Google. What?
So what are the other details? Like, so can you go into any kind of detail besides just broad?
What it was?
Yeah. So
brain
like where?
Cancer.
So it was brain cancer.
Huh. Yeah. So you're talking about the bill? Like, can I go?
Yeah. Like, what are the details? Like, how is the money dispersed?
Yeah. So basically, it's given. So the money is going directly to, so veterans can go wherever they want to receive this health care.
Specifically for cancer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so before, the burden of proof, so if you wanted to get paid, if you wanted to have your treatment paid for by the government, you had to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that those burn pits are what caused this. Well, we can't send scientists over there, because it's a military base. You can't have scientists over there with...
I mean, Antarctica is a military base, and we have tons of scientists there all the fucking
It's
time.
not an active war zone, no?
Yeah.
The United States government won't let a scientist...
No one
poke
owns
around
Antarctica.
No, I don't.
No one owns it.
I think the UN owns it.
I don't know.
But
anyway, either way, no single vet can pay for a fucking scientist to go over there and pay it, so the United States government was just like, fuck off, you're on your own. And basically, Jon Stewart comes and he's like, well, we know from the 9/11 firefighters that this causes this. And that was enough to get the vets to kind of group together, literally write this bill themselves, and then ship it to Congress. And it barely passed the House. I mean, just fucking barely. And then it goes over to the Senate, and the first time, so they voted to have the vote. You get past the filibuster. And it passed 84-11 with the rest not voting.
Abstaining.
Yeah.
I thought one of them voted to not take a vote. I thought because it was Chuck Schumer voted with the Republicans to not hear it because he wanted it to go to amendment or to committee. Don't get me. Yeah, I know Chuck Schumer voted with Republicans at one point with this bill.
Oh no! They tried to make an amendment to the bill, and that got shot down. Because that one got shot down narrowly, though. That one got shot down like 55-45.
No.
Yeah. So basically, all the bill says is that, like, look, if you were exposed to this, you're covered. We got you. On the United States government's dime, You filled your obligation, we've got you. And every single year, I can't remember the name of the position. It's some dude that works for the executive branch. He has to go before the Senate Appropriations Committee and basically show how the money was spent. And the money can't be used for other
So it's like a yearly audit.
Yeah. The big debate was really, I don't know, it's ridiculous. So there was a lot of disinformation about the bill. Like, some people were going out there and saying that it was $400 billion and it didn't nothing to do with vets. That's absolute horseshit.
I mean, that's what the senator said.
The
One
senator,
of the senators who opposed it.
It was probably Pat Toomey who said it.
That's the one I saw quoted.
And Pat Toomey is full of shit. Because when he got asked to quote where he saw this in the bill, he said, I don't know. So it's like, well, where is it?
Because that was my main understanding for why Republicans were abstaining, and I don't know what the final vote was, but it was this supposed $400 billion was supposed to be changed from discretionary spending to mandatory spending, and that was it was just going to increase the cost of the bill.
Right.
Exponentially. Well, I don't know about exponentially, but significantly. $400 billion is not a small amount of money.
Well, basically, so it's kind of Republicans wanted it to kind of be like the military budget, where you vote on it every single year. So every single year that goes, do we want to give them health care this year? And then it's majority wins.
Did they do this through reconciliation?
No.
So it's not a budgeting bill.
This is just a standalone bill.
Okay.
But basically, the Democrats said, no, we're not going to leave veterans' health care to political football. That's not, no. So they just wanted to make it mandatory. And that was what was written down when they voted to move it forward past the filibuster. It has not changed since that vote. But what did change was basically Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin apparently have come together on a budget package for next year. After they had told Mitch McConnell that they were not going to come together they were done with budget reconciliation. They went back, or Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer came to an agreement. They said, aha, we figured something out. Mitch McConnell said, well, that's fine, but we'll go scorched earth. And we'll shoot down every other bill we get a chance to shoot down. And so this was kind of caught in the crossfire of that, is basically what happened. And then Jon Stewart shows up and basically just shames the Republicans into voting for it.
Mostly Ted Cruz.
I don't know anything. I never liked Jon Stewart, and I didn't hear what he had to say on it. Yeah.
No.
I didn't like a lot of nightly hosts. Stephen Colbert was okay for a little bit, but then he turned into everybody else. So.
Whatever he did worked.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, if it wasn't for Jon Stewart, this bill probably wouldn't have passed, because it probably wouldn't have gotten the outreach. Because it just barely, by just like 3 or 4 votes, passed the House. So, it's just like, ugh.
So, I understand that you have to be hesitant about increasing government spending right now with inflation the way it is. On the other side of that coin, obviously, is veterans. Like, you can't... It's a hard pill for Americans to swallow that people might have to take cutbacks in general. So if they're going to say, like, hey, we're going to have gas lines, no one's going to be okay with that, right?
Right.
No one, and then you say, okay, well, we know we may have caused cancer in some veterans, and we're not going to pay for it. Like, that's not a winning case for the American people in general.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a catch-22. Like, I don't know. I guess you could, if you consider passing it a win, which I do. Like, I don't want.
How would you not?
So the question is the increase in budgetary spending going to negatively affect a lot more people than it helps? And really, with 3.5 million people being affected by it,
we could just rework the budget and not increase.
You could, but that's never how it goes. Like, in theory, I understand that's what you're saying, but it's never... No one is ever going to take money from... Well, except Social Security. They'll take money from Social Security all the fucking day long. But, I understand, whether the $400 billion is real or not. I would hesitate to call it disinformation. Just because where I read it was at least reputable. I don't know about the guy himself. I obviously haven't read the entire bill myself either.
It's not very big. I encourage you to go to congress.gov. If you just look up the Pact Act on there, it'll show you it's not very big. It's not very big at all. And the bill hasn't changed, like I said, for over a year. And they voted on it, yes. And then a lot of politics came into play, and they said, well, let's just shoot everything down.
Yeah, Joe Manchin's definitely pissed off a lot of Republicans, because I think it's not just budget reconciliation, it's, some green energy package, isn't it?
That was
that he said
spending.
Yeah, he got on board with that too with Chuck Schumer, and we don't know about Kirsten Sinema yet, but she has actually a lot. I guess the way they got Manchin is they're going to be expanding a lot of fossil fuel production specifically in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's political trade-offs. You're going to bring jobs to his state,
right? Yeah.
And he's going to vote for you, and that's. As sad as it is. That's why I'm like, if I could read this bill, it would be the only one in probably the past 5 years I could sit down and read. Besides the Green New Deal. But we're not going to...
You haven't read the Green New Deal?
No, I've read the Green New Deal. It's like 2 pages of
it's not very big.
Trash. I mean, I'm always pro-reading bills, and I think I'm going to come out with... This is probably, with how many people were exposed... It's probably going to help more people who deserve it than hurt people. I mean, we're already at 9% inflation. I don't know how much the entire budgetary increase was.
I don't even know that this can't inflate the economy that much.
I mean, government spending money inflates the economy. Now, supply chains are also causing
it would be any money, right? It wouldn't just be government money.
So, no, because the government's creating new money, and that's what's causing the inflation. The thing is, they're just printing the money. If you have $100 bills, and that's it. Then the value is always $1, right? But then you print 50 more, and this is now $1 is worth, let's say, 75 cents. You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
That's kind of the way
inflation works. I'm just saying that, even if you have the money supply stay the same, if you have the money supply stay stagnant, that can also lead to inflation.
Well, so there's supply side inflation, which we also do have some too.
Right.
So we just not manufacturing, but. A lot of industries really suffered coming back after COVID. They just can't get people, and that's frankly because people don't want to go back into the office. And I mean, I mentioned it to y'all earlier today. Like, you want me to come back into the office at this point? You can go pay for it because I know you can do it. You just don't want to.
Right.
So I'm going to go, and that's part of it, if you've heard the Great Resignation and whatnot. But that would be my only concern, is that if it's going to increase inflation. But how much was the total package? Do you know off the top of your head?
$400 billion.
So the whole package was $400 billion.
That's the thing.
Then I don't know. That's what, half the military budget.
Yeah.
I mean, so that is a lot of money.
Well,
it's
here's
an eighth of the GDP.
Yeah. No, it's significant.
Like $4 trillion is GDP. So
sure?
$400 billion. Yeah. Is it 14 trillion?
Maybe. I don't know.
Google 2021 GDP. I'm pretty sure it's $4 trillion. I'm pretty sure. Because when we went over the $4 trillion budget for COVID, everyone was like, we've spent more than GDP.
2020, 20 trillion.
I was going to say
20 trillion.
Okay. Almost 21, basically 21 trillion.
I was like, Germany's like 4 trillion, I think.
4 trillion is the budget, the yearly budget.
Yeah.
I apologize. That's my...
Well, not anymore. I don't think it's that anymore. That was like 2020 during like COVID and everything, so...
Well, so it hasn't gone down, though. The yearly budget has...
Maybe not the budget. The deficit went down $1.5 trillion.
Well, that ain't bad. But again, you're not spending all the money on COVID, and like they cut back the not workman's comp, but unemployment. Federally, they cut that back. A lot of states' benefits are now cut back.
Yeah, but and we had to hear a lot of bullshit. This is the thing. So I'm going to assume that this is all politics, and I'm going to use the word Republican. I don't mean you. I don't mean you.
You don't mean citizens.
I mean people. I mean people in power right now. So just take that with what you will. So we had to sit there and we had to listen to Republicans say shit about veterans' health care. And I want you to keep in mind that during this, these are people who not just signed up for the military after 9/11. These are people that went overseas and that fought, and because of their fighting got cancer. So they had all of our support going to war. When we voted for war, we were like, "Oh fuck yeah, let's go kill people." Da 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 da. They had our.
I don't know that Well,
we had their backs then, and then when the war was over, we were like, we don't want to hear about you. We don't want to know about you.
that's kind of the same thing that happened in Vietnam.
What's the famous saying?
Oh yeah.
Once the war's over, the uniform means nothing to the government.
I don't know. Well, maybe to the government. I don't think that's true to most American people. But
Well, to the government,
I tell you what, if you asked a bunch of these veterans with cancer, like, what matters more to you? That the American people like you or the fact that you have health care? They would be like, health care. Especially...
yeah, healthcare would be really nice right now. I've got
Yeah.
stage 4 X cancer. Like,
yeah, exactly. So, finally, we had to sit and we had to listen to Congress people be like, well, what if the vet had the choice of prison or the army? Do they get health care? And I was like, I don't give a shit.
I mean, yes, frankly.
And
so they still chose to serve
It's like...
and are still liable for... like, this is just going to be attached to benefits, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I don't understand. Is the government's notoriously bad at paying its bills. That's why veterans don't get all the benefits they're supposed to. Or their benefits are shit. So, I don't know how much... like, I would like to think optimistically this is going to help. But in theory, the VA should help and make sure that veterans get health care too. The government's just really, really, really shit at paying its bills. Like Medicare, Medicaid, military, VA. Like, it's all fucking atrocious. So, is it... like, I'm just coming in. It's good they passed it. I'm hoping that we can help some veterans with it. At least some. But I think the sad reality is going to be that a lot of veterans are still going to die of cancer.
Oh yeah,
And-
no, that's the thing. At this point, for a lot of them, it's more about just prolonging life. Like the cancer, like there is no stage 5 cancer. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to kill you.
It's making things comfortable.
Yeah. So,
I don't know if the bill only pays for cancer treatment, then it may not cover hospice costs. Like, I'm sure the VA, that'd be one thing the VA fucking covers is hospice costs. Because you're fixing to go out the damn door.
So yeah, and then, I guess the part that I hate. So, like I said, I don't think, honestly, I think the people who were voting against this bill didn't really give a shit if it passed or didn't pass. If you gave them truth serum, they'd be like, yeah, that's probably a good bill. But what got in the way, of course, was politics. And basically, they were trying to, basically, Mitch McConnell was like, look, if you go for budget reconciliation, we're going for this, and we're going for this. And it's like, dude, fuck.
Well, so the thing is...
and that's why I hate politics. I hate it.
I was going to say, so number one, this isn't the first bill this is ever. It's never not going to be the last bill either.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just Republicans, not just...
Oh, yeah. I agree.
But the thing that's going to happen here, or the thing, if we're going to talk politics, like just the political situation right now, what I think Joe Manchin is seeing is the writing on the wall. A whole lot of Democrats in the Senate right now are looking at a door. And it's the door out in 2022.
Think so?
Yeah, especially in purple states. I mean, there's a lot of swinging
Say that
red.
to Kansas.
I mean, I'm not saying there aren't any outliers, but I'm saying the predictions were for... I think they've narrowed some, but I still think Republicans pick up 6 seats in the Senate right now.
I think 6.
Yeah, well, that's the predictions. That's not me saying that.
No, okay,
That's
I was like,
people.
no shot they pick up 6. At this point.
But Joe Manchin, who is a registered Democrat, has to do something to help out Virginia, and otherwise he's just going to go down with the ship with the rest of the Democrats, because all they're going to do is see that D next to his name, because he hasn't really done anything significant for his state. And he can go down with that ship. If he does this, and he does the green energy stuff, he's putting some credit behind his name right before midterms.
Yeah.
He's going to be... notorious isn't the right word, but neither is infamous. He's going to gain some...
Notoriety.
Well, he's a
credibility.
He's a former governor in West Virginia.
Yeah, but people have very short memories.
Still, but I mean, they know who he is, and I think they like him.
Do you know, the three... Well, no, I know Mary Fallon. That's about it, though.
I wasn't alive before her, so...
Right, but... I think that's a little bit what's happening with Joe Manchin kind of coming on board, which meant, he may also just really agree with the bills. But for him to have been so stubborn for 2 years, and now suddenly in the beginning of August 2022,
right?
I think he's looking down the barrel and he knows it, and he's trying to get some credibility behind his name. And that doesn't change anything about the Pact Act. I think again, Pact Act's probably a good thing. $400 billion is a lot of money, though. That's a lot of money.
I'll just be honest. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It could have cost $2 trillion. I wouldn't have given a shit.
Nobody gives a shit until your dollar's worth a lot less, though. That's what we're finding out now.
Well, I'm telling you, there's no... You could not put a veteran in front of me with cancer and then tell me that there could potentially be almost 4 million people like him and say that they got cancer from their line of duty. And then you said, do you want to cover their cost for $2 trillion? I'd be like, absolutely.
But so here's the thing. I was like, you're looking at just the veteran in that scenario. If you're looking on the veteran plus let's call it 4 million other veterans who have tragically been diagnosed with cancer. And then you're looking on this hand and you're looking at, I don't know what the estimations are for global starvation at this point, but they're huge from the Ukrainian war.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's Biden's fault. It's from the Ukrainian war. It's strictly Russia's fault causing this and supply chain collapse. But like you're having to take do I do this and cause even more suffering on this hand? So like paying this $400 billion may mean the other 345 million Americans.
You don't have to choose that hand. There's a third hand. And it's called splitting the military spending.
So they're adding to the military budget.
Well,
though,
but even then, I don't.
You'd have to cut it from somewhere else.
I think the unnecessary assumption would be that adding this means that this will cause this starvation.
So global starvation was obviously just part of the example. But let's say you have a choice between these veterans and the other 345 million Americans whose inflation may now be 12%.
I don't know if you would be tough to show me that this would cause any significant inflation.
I don't think so. When the government prints money, inflation happens. That's just.
But over a significant, you're talking.
Well, so it's getting double barreled though is the problem. So you don't everything the government prints now, while it may not have been as impactful in 2019. But because they're getting hit from the other side, they're burning with supply chain issues. Mm-hmm. You're burning this candle on both ends. You see what I'm saying? So, while $400 billion in 2019 may have only caused, 1% inflation, that's okay. I think everybody could swallow that for veterans with cancer, right? But you start talking 4% on top of 9%, people are really going to struggle. I mean, there are people living paycheck to paycheck all over America. 12% inflation could kill people. And I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying this is for certain. Inflation is, it's predictable to an extent, but I don't think I've seen any predictions that this will raise inflation by 4%. I've seen that this is going to cause more inflation on this problem, but no one's confident enough to put an actual number on it. I'm just saying it's not quite as simple as I'm looking at a veteran with cancer. There is another hand here that we can't ignore. And again...
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah, we can.
You can't pretend it doesn't exist.
How are you going to vote for a $4 trillion war and not vote for the healthcare rights of the dude who fought in it? I can't, because and this is kind of my issue, is that Americans have never seen a war that they didn't like. How many wars have we?
Man, you tell that to the hippies.
Vietnam.
No. So the American people didn't like it. So the American people didn't like it, but we still sent motherfuckers to go over there and fight it because the people in power wanted to fight it.
I think that's going to be the thing. Is there has to be a distinguishing between American people and government.
But even then,
people hated Vietnam and Korea.
People did
notoriously.
Hate it. But what I'm saying is that the point still stands that it doesn't really matter as much what the American people think if they don't have a voice in how the vote happens. So, despite the fact that the approval for Vietnam was vastly negative, it didn't change the fact that we were still shipping hundreds of thousands of boys over there.
Well, it turns out Americans don't understand. They don't like foreign war.
No, we can't not like it because we've been in it so much.
Since Vietnam.
But politicians have never found a war that they won't vote for. But they've never found this. We've only passed veterans health care 4 times.
Don't give me
the
a
U.S.
line
government's
to you.
notorious for not giving veterans their dues. After World War I,
Look, Dean, this isn't just military. I know we're talking about military, but they're just bad at paying their bills.
Well, after World War I, back when the Great Depression, World War I vets hey, y'all still owe us a ton of money. And when they did a protest in front of the Capitol, they were arrested.
Well,
on the upside, at least, it's going to be so they can go anywhere with this care.
I think so, yeah.
So I would want to verify they can go anywhere, but that actually may save significantly more lives. If they're still stuck going to the VA, then I think we're going to watch 50% of them get hospice. And
well, I think that's the whole point of the bill, because I think you can go to the VA, but private health care is probably a lot better than the VA. Because they don't have... So, like, congressmen, they can go to whatever healthcare physician they want to in the country. They don't have to go to whatever the government version of VA would be.
mm-hmm.
They can go to, like, Walter Reed or wherever. You know, like, if Trump would have
They
went
have
to a
better
VA
health
hospital
insurance.
for fucking COVID, like, if he would have went to, like, a VA...
Yeah, as an overweight guy.
Yeah.
They would have put him on
Trump had a
hospice.
private doctor, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But, like, veterans, they were like, yeah, no, they don't get that.
Ask FDR how the VA does when they do the president's job.
Well, to be fair, he had polio.
Still, terrible job.
What were they going to do? They didn't have the vaccine yet.
I think the VA is a perfect example of what happens when you give government money and then trust it to take care of something.
I don't think so.
It's terrible.
I don't know,
It's
because the problem with the VA is just that they literally are running around. They have no money. Like, that's kind of the
they
problem.
They can only afford hospice.
If you made the hospitals for profit and then the government just forked the bill, but I don't even know how that would work for the VA because it's only for veterans, you know? So it's like I don't even...
You'd probably just have to expand it. It'd probably turn VA benefits into just a private healthcare voucher. You just go anywhere, and the government's going to pay X amount for X treatment.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, just without having thought through, sounds significantly better than sending veterans to VA hospitals.
Yeah.
Like, healthcare vouchers sound better.
Yeah. So, is what it is.
Nick, do you have any thoughts? You've been kind of quiet on this one. And I'm sorry if I sound a little
I thought it was awful what the Republicans did.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have asked me, what's more disrespectful? Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the national anthems, or a bunch of Republicans voting yes on this bill and then saying, nah, go fuck yourself, and then being basically shamed into voting yes?
I don't know that it was shamed. I think it was
shame.
It's speculation. You'd have to go talk to the people, and then, even if they were shamed, they're not going to admit it. Like, I don't think it's... So, when was the first vote on the bill that had 84?
July 16th.
Of 2022?
Last year.
2021.
No. Last month.
Oh, that's pretty bad then. That's pretty... Because inflation didn't change that much.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty bad. If 84 of you voted for it, and then now Mitch McConnell had just scared that many of you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So, like, if you ask me which one's more disrespectful... NFL players taking a knee.
The thing is that there's a lot of recordings.
I don't think it's a respect issue. It's a playing politics, but an issue you shouldn't be playing politics.
Yeah,
with.
and I think
if you'd have done this,
slap in the face in front of a veteran.
But you guys are going to be irritated at Republicans for stopping really any bill that you want. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, so you're going to be irritated
not
whenever.
as mad as I am with this, though. I mean, like this is what I'm saying. Like, some stuff should just be off limits from political football. And this is probably.
I don't know how you're going to do that. 2, Republicans aren't the only ones who do this, and 3, I am. Like I'm saying, if it was first vote on the bill was July.
So I concede that Republicans aren't the only one who does this. They're the only ones who did it here, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because this is supposed to be the wave the flag, we're patriots, all that other propaganda shit. Whatever they do, we jizz at the national anthem, like whatever. Cool.
And then they dropped the ball.
Yeah, the only people so far to vote
they kicked the ball. They literally kicked the ball.
They slapped it out of their hands and kicked it and took it home.
And basically...
I mean, so you still got enough Republicans to come on board to pass it, though, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like, we had to shame them in. Like I said,
I don't think you can't prove that you shamed them in. They could have just been willing to vote against Mitch McConnell.
You're right. Maybe it's a coincidence that after all the public outcry and after all the...
I haven't seen any public outcry. Like, share on here if you've seen public outcry everywhere.
Pat Toomey had 18,000 phone calls in 2 days. 2 days.
I mean, so that's not hard. You get people across the nation. Like, the Democratic Party has tons of people.
No, these aren't. That's what people don't understand. These are not just Democrats and Republicans. These are goddamn just normal people. Like, these are constituents.
I mean, so how do you know that?
Because they tell you. They say, hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm as Republican as anybody, but what the fuck are you doing not voting for veterans health care.
I don't know. So how do you, like, who's verified this, I guess is what I'm asking. Because it sounds like you could just
You can
lie.
go to any veterans group.
So let's say
they have the recordings posted everywhere. You can't miss them. Literally, they have released phone records of them talking to
I ain't
past
seen
people.
shit.
Any veterans group has come out and basically shamed
Like-
Republicans. Wounded Warrior, Black Rifle Cop, all veterans groups have come out and shamed Republicans who did it.
Yeah.
And more likely,
I'd
these
buy from
Republicans
Black-
saw their midterms start to go a
think-
little bit lower and thought, fuck.
I think more than likely is it doesn't really matter. Again, the inflation didn't change enough from July 16th to now to justify that swing. You were intimidated by Mitch McConnell, and I understand he is apex predator, cocaine Mitch McConnell. Okay, but I agree with you that veterans benefits probably shouldn't have been. The problem is the only Republican I could really believe look me in the eye and tell me like, look, I really had budgetary concerns is Rand Paul. He's the only Republican I'd buy that from.
I'm trying to remember if he was even one of the ones that was even saying that, because normally you're right, that is him. Like, and that's for everybody.
He's the last budget hawk left. Like,
and normally, like, even for some of the Trump stuff, he was like, "Whoa, that's a shit ton of money."
yeah, I think it was the wall Rand Paul helped hold up. That's why they had to pull it from military funding, which turns out it's going to bite them in the ass because Biden's about to do it with climate change.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like almost like somebody was like, "Hey, that's a terrible fucking idea, Trump."
So once you start using the military budget for other shit.
Yeah, it's almost like
means
barring
any
against Social
president
Security.
can
Like
start
once the
doing
first
it.
guy does it, it's a fucking vicious.
I can't
Anyway,
remember how he said it for the climate change. It was some general said it too. Did you hear that? For like,
Oh, fuck if I
don't know.
know.
It was something about climate immigrants or something. I don't remember.
Climate immigrants?
Yeah, so they were saying that like we're gonna
it's
have
a national security
so
risk.
because like you have harsher climates, it's going to be harder to grow shit. Harder to grow shit means there's going to be more like
Immigrants.
people starving, fleeing countries for more like places like Europe and America. It's going to create a national
Oh,
security.
did you
thing.
see Biden's building more of the wall
I did. He finished
in
off
in Arizona?
I didn't know that there was an entire part completely unfenced, just wide open.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was like, oh,
There's a couple zones like
I
that.
didn't know that existed.
Watching Kareem Jean Paul or
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
some French ass name.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
The new press secretary.
Oh, I haven't even heard her.
Yeah,
I spoke
it's
with
Anyway, watching her try to defend that position was pretty great because they're like, "Well, we're coming in and fixing Trump's fuck up." Like, wouldn't that be tearing it down to you guys? Like, isn't that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is it going to Biden?
Yeah.
It should know if it passed the House and it passed the Senate.
You know, they didn't want to make an amendment to the bill really because they didn't want to make it go back to the House because that may have been another shit storm. So they were just like, "Fuck it."
The longer you draw a bill out, the less likely it is to
The more
pass.
Yeah.
And really, the more you cram in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was a standalone bill, so
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure. So, well, Nick, do you guys have any closing thoughts?
It's good. It's good that they passed it.
Yeah.
Good. Long road.
It shows that shaming them can work. It shows that shaming them can work, and that works for everybody. That works for everybody.
You're gonna have to get them for something they're gonna be ashamed of. So, like right now, it is kind of a shame.
That's a hard one to defend.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not gonna shame. Like, if you want to pass
like,
abortion legislation, you're not gonna shame Republicans into being pro-abortion. Like, it's just not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
but if I come and ask you, like, why did you not want to give veterans health care?
Right.
It's
That's
like,
even if
Yeah.
Rand Paul was like, well, it's about the budget, and like that's a tough sell. That's a tough sell.
Well, it is, and no one's gonna really care because they're gonna think, well, that $400 billion, like, really, it's a drop in. Well, it's an eighth of the budget. That's my only concern with it. And like I said, I'm glad it got passed. I just hope this other hand doesn't come up and slap us in the face. But it's not me it's going to slap in the face.
I don't think it's going to slap.
Like, I'm going to be okay.
It's not going to slap us in the face because of this. There are a lot of other reasons it might slap us in the face. So.
Well, I'm not saying this is going to be the only reason. Spending's been out of fucking control, really, since 2020. Like, people just... There was kind of like this budget hawk push on the brake every now and then to slow it down. And now it's just pedal ground
Well,
gone.
the U.S. has not been good at spending.
Oh no,
since the
I'm not.
founding.
I'm not saying this is strictly. It's not a Democrat problem either. Republicans spend money like nobody fucking business. At least Democrats have the gumption to come up and tell you I'm going to have to raise your taxes for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Republicans will lie about it and then raise
No,
your taxes.
Republicans will lower taxes and increase the deficit. Like, that's the fucking
Yeah,
problem.
That's the problem. Whenever you increase spending, lower taxes, everyone scratches.
No,
their
and the
head.
issue, like, the Democrats just don't raise it enough on enough people. That's
Thank
why
God.
anytime Democrats are like, well, top 1% of America, I'm like, that you want to see trickle down, that's going to trickle down.
Reaganomics, perfect.
No,
perfect
the
way
tax is going to eventually hit the people on the bottom rungs of society. But anyway, I'm glad it got passed. You know, the last thing I saw really was on Wednesday, and I saw it was still held up.
No, I think it passed on Tuesday.
Maybe it wasn't Wednesday. It's been a blur this week. I've been running like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah, so whenever I actually sat and I actually watched a vote because I had to see, and as soon as I saw 3 like Republicans I had never heard of, I was like, "Yep, we're good. It'll vote." And I said, "Nice."
Yep.
So our senator James
so
Langford
they had
did
a-
not vote for it though. I will not be voting for you because of this, and I mean that, dead serious.
Who gives a shit?
Not.
What, so did our other senator?
Yeah. His name's Inhofe.
Oh, that's right.
He did vote for it, but James Langford, and he's the one who's up for election. I will be voting for not you. Sorry.
Is he getting primaried or is he running on his own?
I think he's on his own. I think he's already won. I think he's just got to win the actual race now.
Well, if you think nobody votes,
and
in
he's going to win the actual race. He's just not going to have my vote.
Yeah.
So, I've campaigned for him before, and I've met the dude more than a couple of times, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe you fucking voted against it. Actually, that broke my heart a little bit.
You've had a lot to say about Langford recently. Like, that name keeps coming up about you saying stuff he's voting
I keep an eye on
against.
him because I know who he is. Like if he saw me in the crowd, he could be like, "Oh, hey, look, that's Wyatt." So, you know, yeah, he was his favorite little boy. Jesus. Okay, all right. Well, we'll talk to y'all later. This has been the Refined Peasants.
Bye.